Hi, this is Sweet June coming back at you with another video. Hoping everybody's having a blessed day. Trying to get some stuff done around the house, but it's a challenge because I'm not hurting as bad today, but I've been having some really bad sciatic nerve pain that's going down my legs. It's mainly going down the side of my right leg, and it's been hindering me. I've been kind of struggling with my walking. It's not too bad today. So when I try to do things around the house, it takes me forever to get done. Um, and I have to pace myself, like do a little bit and sit down. Do a little bit and sit down. At that rate, it takes forever to get anything done. It's really frustrating. But, it is what it is. Pretty soon I'm thinking about getting my injection done pretty soon. To see maybe that might give me some relief. But, Lord, I'll keep you guys updated on that. It's a mess. Getting older is something else. It ain't no joke. Young people out there, take care of your body. We only get one of these things. We don't get two. So, what you do in your younger years is key. But I want to talk about. I just watched a video. Um, these 8 and 9 year old boys shot this 60-something-year-old man. He was on a tractor. They found the man dead. He had bullet hole wounds in his body, and they suspect that a 8 and 9 year old done it. I don't know what make them suspect the children did it, but if that, I'm gonna say allegedly. But if these children, I'm hearing more and more cases of children ki- shooting people. Now, some of those shootings are accidental. But even if they're accidental, um, but I'm hearing more cases of children committing violence against other children, or children committing violent acts. I'm hearing more and more of that. And I think a lot of the reason why they're doing it is because the first thing I could think about was the video games, these violent video games um, that these children play, that the parents should not even be allowing them to play. Their parents should not be allowing their children to play violent video games or watch violence on TV. But they do. A lot of times, a lot of children are being raised in single parent homes, and they pretty much let the TV and the video games kind of, in a sense, be a babysitter. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was a single mom, I was guilty of that myself. I'm not gonna act like I didn't do it, cause I did. Now I tried. What I did was when I had cable, I put parental controls on the cable. I set parental controls on the cable on my son's TV because I think he had TV in his room, and even on the living room TV. I set parental controls, and if I wanted to watch something that was rated R, whatever, which I rarely watch stuff that's rated R, but if I wanted to watch something that, I had to put in a code in order to unlock it. And so I used to put those parental controls on my TVs so they couldn't go in and watch anything that was inappropriate, or they couldn't go in and watch any violence. They didn't know the code. They didn't know what the code was. I had to put in a code in order to unlock it. And that's what they have a lot with the cable, you know. And so as a parent, you have to monitor what your children watches on television. You have to monitor. I know when I was raising my son, I did not allow him to play violent video games. One time we went to the GameStop, you know, the GameStop store. It used to be at the mall. And I was picking out, my son wanted to buy a video game, and they had some for sale, like, you know, in a bin. And we were going through them, and I was like, you can't play that one, that's violent. Nope, can't play that one, that's violent. Nope, not that one, that's violent. Violent. And I remember the sales lady was so impressed. She said, you know, you're the only parent that has came in here and did that. You're the only parent. She said, most of the parents just let the kids get what they want. She said, you are the only parent that I've ever seen do that. She was very impressed. So that was, in itself, was a fine witness in itself. And so I made a conscious effort to monitor what my son was playing as far as video games, monitor what they watched as much as I could, you know. Now, when they went over to a friend's house, I don't know what they did when they went over there. And of course, you know, both of my sons, when they got of age, of course, you know, they played what they wanted to play. But the difference is, see, this is the problem when young boys, young children, particularly under the age of 10, take in too much violence. They watch too much violence on TV, or they play in the violent video games. And these video games are getting more and more realistic. They're like virtual movies. These video games are literally like virtual movies. And I just glanced at some of the ones that my son plays, and they're literally like virtual movies. So they're getting more and more and more realistic. And so what happens is, under the age of 10, their brain is still growing. It's still developing. When they play those violent video games and they watch the violence on television, what it does is it desensitizes them. It desensitizes them to where the last thing you want is for your children to be desensitized to some people being murdered, killed, violent acts committed against people. That's the last thing you want, is for your child to be desensitized to that. And then they have like what they call this false sense of reality. Is that in the video games, they can kill someone and then the person comes back to life. You know, they can go in and play a war game, and they're killing up a bunch of people. And then they go back, and if they didn't complete that level, they go back to that same level to try to complete that level. Okay, the people are alive again, and they kill them all over again. And see, what ends up happening is they think that that can happen in real life. They get a false sense of reality. They think that people can die and come back in real life. They think if a person gets shot in real life, they can come back, like the video game. Because they don't have the reasoning skills young children don't have the reasoning skills to separate from what's reality versus non-reality. And unless you as a parent sit down and talk to them, that's where the effective parenting comes in at. You have to sit and talk with them and tell them the difference between what's real and what's not. You also have to monitor what they watch and what they play. When they're under the age of 10, they have no business playing violent video games. Under the age of 10. Or when my son was a teenager, all the way up until the time that I could actually control him. When he got to the age where I couldn't control him no more, then they got to the age where I couldn't control them no more, then of course they did what they wanted to do. And of course now they're grown, so it is what it is. But I mean, I did it all the way up until I could. They were got to the age where I could control them. And I said, no, you're not. Absolutely not. And I was, trying to raise my son up in truth. Well, at least one of them. And so, um, no, I say absolutely not. You're not playing these video games. He got a little frustrated with me, but oh well, it is what it is. And so, as parents, you have to. That falls when children do stuff like that. That to me that particularly under the age of 10, that goes back on the parents. It's something that was lacking in the home. The parents did not talk to the children. They didn't monitor what they were playing and watching on TV. And like I said, a lot of children are being raised in single parent homes, and they let the TV be the child's babysitter. Like I said, I was guilty of that at one time myself, but that's where parental controls come in at. And you can't you have to monitor your children. You have to monitor them. You just parents have to take a proactive. They have to be proactive on that, and they have to monitor their children and talk to their children. You have to talk to your children, and you can't let the TV raise your kids. You have to raise them, and that's the reason why children are doing a lot of these things is because parents are allowing them to play the violent video games. They're allowing them to watch the violent content on television. And so you have to, as a parent, I say when they do stuff like that, it falls back on the parents. Something is lacking. The parents wasn't doing something, you know. And so violence is very, very violent because once, an adult can reason. When you're an adult and you see something violent, then you know that's not real. And then if you have gotten to, depends on your spiritual, if you have a spiritual mindset, or even if you don't, you know when something horrific happens in the news, you know it's real, and you can, like, oh my God, something like that, depending on your conscience level. But children don't have that ability. They don't have that ability to reason. And when they do, if they're playing all that violent video games and looking at all that violence, all them violent movies and stuff on TV, when they do watch the news and actually hear something horrific happen in the news, it's no big deal to them. They're desensitized to it, which is not good. Which is not good. So that's just something I seen that and I was like, yeah, that's so parents, this is to all parents out there. Please monitor what your children are watching on television. Monitor your children's video game use. And set limits. You have to set limits. That's the problem. Parents don't spend enough time. I remember when I worked at the daycare, we couldn't let them kids watch that on TV. We used to have to sneak down to the the thing because we used to have to go on the front to get the TV and the DVD player. It was on a cart. And we used to have to sneak down in the front. And this one teacher, or one of the directors, she would be a stickler on that. Like, where you going with that? We used to have to sneak it back to the classroom. We just want to lay back and, chill out, chill the kids out and everything. But they really frowned upon it. And the reason why they did is because it's not good for children to watch TV all the time. You have to interact with them, read to them. You read to them. I was reading my grandson this book. Because Dolly Parton has this great program. Kudos to Dolly Parton. She has this program, and it's called Imagination Library, where she sends children books all the way up from birth to the age of 5. She sends the children books, and my grandson gets books every month. And unfortunately, his parents are not reading to him like they should. But I read to him one of the books, and it had some African American people in it. And I had them over at my mother's house, and I read the book to him, and it was a really good story, and it had African American people in it. And he was like, read it again. And I read the book to him again, and he enjoyed that book. My grandson enjoyed that book. He enjoyed it. So children enjoy being read to. They enjoy it. It helps them, encourage them to gain the love of reading, and that's very important. It helps with their reading skills. You sit and read with them. You sit and engage with them and stuff like that. And I know parents, single parents, is hard because that was hard for me. You're working, but you got to carve out that time. you know, read them. They got little Bible stories, and the organization does real good at coming up with children's material. And they got little books with Bible stories. I bought my granddaughter one with Noah that talks about the story of Noah, and they have all kinds of stuff that with Bible stories in them. Children for children, you can read that stuff to them, and so there's all kinds of things that you can do with children to kind of redirect them, and then monitor what they're watching on TV, monitor what the games that they're playing, set limits. So that's to all the parents out there, because all this you're hearing about all this violent acts of these children. It's because of the media. It's because of social media. They're spending too much time with video games and stuff like that. That falls back on the parents. And so even if you're a single parent, you have to be proactive. Okay, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Like and share. Until the next video. Peace and love. This is Sweet June.